right onto YouTube even before we can see it. So we might be on right now, even though we can't see it.
From
So
where?
yeah, don't swear and be on your best behavior. And if you can see us on YouTube, we'll be with you in a second. We're just sorting out our technology here on the back end. So it says it is streaming now, but I cannot see it showing up yet. And if I press, oh, there we go. I can see it showing up. And if you, there we go. I can see it. So if you come in on YouTube, say hi in the chat if you have figured out how to do that. And don't worry if you haven't figured out how to do it. You'll figure it out by the end of the course. We are trying to help as many people as we can, but it's if we could just come to everyone's house and get you sit down next to you and tell you what to do, it would be so much easier. But we're doing our best.
Chances are that the question that one person has it will have been asked by somebody else anyway.
Yes, that's true. But if you can comment on the calls, you have a chance at winning a place
Oh, right.
on the Find Your Joy course. So it does help to be able to comment. And the reason we have that rule, we will not. Oh, hang on. Disappointed that closed captioning is not available. Okay, it is now. It should be now. There you go. Should be showing up now, but it doesn't show up maybe on YouTube. I don't know. Hopefully it does. The reason we're going to do giving the prizes in the comp to someone who comments is we want to make sure that the person we give the free place to is someone that really wants it because they're enjoying the reset and doing the work. We have a lot of people signed up, but I would say about half of the people that signed up are engaged and doing any of the work. So we don't want to just give something away to a random person. So, but it will be fair because I have my random way of choosing someone, which I'm not going to share. And for those watching on a recording, if you are in Australia, don't worry, and you can't be on these calls, or in New Zealand, but Mary's here from New Zealand. If you are here from one of those places, we'll try to be fair too and pick somebody towards the end randomly in a different way. So if we hi everybody, I the CC is showing up. Okay, good. And I believe you can see CC on YouTube, I think, but I don't know. I don't have the controls for that. I think you have the controls for that. But hopefully now you can see it through Zoom. The comments are coming in so fast that we can't actually see everyone, but it's lovely to see you all arriving. I'm just going to set my screen up so that I can see us, but I also see all the comments coming in. If you're on my YouTube page, Heather, you should be able to see them.
Well, I would have thought so, but let me see if I can open my iPad and do that.
If you can, if you can't, it doesn't matter. But just so you can see everybody saying hello and feel part of it too. It's just on the homepage. Now that we're live, it's on the homepage of YouTube, my thing and my live. And if you just click on it, it starts showing you all the comments. Somebody, I was going to try and read that comment, but I may be not be overwhelmed by the completion of my first excursion, says Susan. I am excited to learn more about my inner voice. So we wanted to talk a little bit about this before we get on to questions. So if you have a question for us, remember there's lots and lots of people here and we might not be able to get to every question. But if you have a question that relates to what we did this yesterday, or the video that I sent out today, put it in the comments and type question in capital letters. And once the stream slows down with everyone saying hello, I will be able to go back and scroll through and try and find some questions. But we did have some things that we wanted to talk about before. I went through the Facebook group, Heather, I was mentioning to you before we came on, and I pulled out a few things, and I'm going to keep everyone anonymous because I didn't ask anyone's permission. I didn't have time. I just thought it's helpful for me to see what people are saying, and then it gives me a chance to do a bit more teaching. So one of the comments was, A person who said they were very unhappy with the exercise, they didn't enjoy themselves. And this person said, yes, I know it's about having fun and I know it's about not expecting a perfect painting, but I do want to do something satisfying. And I just want to pick that apart a little bit because, yes, I know it's about having fun and not expecting a perfect painting. No, it was about not expecting any kind of painting or any kind of result that could be called a painting. It was about just taking that completely away, not perfect, but not even worrying about whatever kind of painting it was. But when you say, yes, I know it's about that, but I still want to do something satisfying. What's happening there is that, and I'm bringing this up not to pick on this person at all, because it's a brilliant opportunity for me to talk about this. It applies to many, many people. What's happening is your brain is shutting you down from the learning that I'm trying to share with you. So whenever you say, yes, I know, but that means you're not listening anymore. If you say you know the point of the exercise, but then immediately dismiss the point of the exercise and go back to your old ways, that's just you going back into a comfort zone where you know how to make things work. But your comfort zone will always keep you where you are. And you came to this, something about my advertisements, my videos spoke to you, and you wanted to come because you wanted more. So the belief that you have to always get something good, or the belief that satisfying means a good painting. That was the other point of this. This person equates satisfaction with the picture looking good, whereas for me, satisfaction comes from using a paintbrush, dipping it in some paint, learning something new sometimes, pushing myself to try something different, having some fun. That's where I get my satisfaction. And then paintings come, but they're not the point of what I'm doing. Nor Heather, by the way. We'll bring Heather in a second. But so what I wanted to just emphasize to anyone who's feeling that way is you can't make satisfying things without making a mess a lot of the time. If what you mean by satisfying is work that feels unique and special and you're really proud of it, you can't do that without making a mess most of the time that you paint. You can't get better without experimenting. And when you experiment, you make a mess. And you definitely can't get better if you measure satisfaction by whether you like your picture or not. It's such a small way to measure what we're doing when we make art. Satisfaction, when it comes from pushing yourself and learning something new and the feel of the paintbrush in your hand, it's accessible to you at any point. You can always feel satisfied, and you can then truly move your art forward. Do the practice that's necessary, try the things that are necessary and fail so you can get where you want to go. So, this is why I say in the first video that I made, you must not try for a painting. You must focus on, I wanted you this to focus on the choices and learning. Yeah, I liked that. I didn't like that. I'm going to try a bit more of that next time. If I do this again, I'll definitely try that. I won't do that thing because I didn't enjoy it. And the time limitation on the realistic exercise, which bothered some people, we'll get to that. That was there to stop you from just getting too bogged down. And Heather, I know you were feeling like that. I'm going to read this comment to you and we can talk about that. This was someone else who said, I tried the representational project. I found it very challenging. I normally work very slowly and then it feels like I'm holding back. So I want to work more loosely. So this person normally works slowly, but they want to get more loose and fast. But then I started to worry the timer was going to go off. So I began zoning in too much on the smaller details. And when I read that to you, you said you had a little bit of this experience. So do you want to
Oh,
just tell us about that?
The thing about nervousness over whether the timer is going to go off is, what do you think you're supposed to produce after 15 minutes? I mean, nobody can produce a good painting in 15 minutes. The thing that occurs to me, Louise, is that that first question and this one, it's a question of process versus product.
Hmm.
And I see
Yes.
both of those people concerned about product. And what you're trying to do is focus on, is teach us to focus on process,
Hmm.
on enjoying the process. And I've been with you long enough that I did three sketches. I didn't get to the second half of it yet, but I did the three initial sketches of an elephant and calf, and had fun with that, and stopped at 15 minutes. And no, they weren't finished. Of course, they weren't finished in 15 minutes, but that was the exercise.
Yeah.
Just paint for 15 minutes, just to enjoy the process for
Yeah.
15 and get out of this business, brain business of product. I have
Yeah.
to always have a product. And so many of us were taught that way, that if you don't produce a good product, you're not a good person somehow. It's
Yeah.
nonsense.
Or you're not a good artist.
Or you're
You're
not
not.
a good artist, or you're not a
Yeah.
good anything,
Yeah.
and I am so appreciative of your constant focus on enjoy the process. And the
Yeah.
product will take however long it takes. You can't expect, I mean, this is the first lesson, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
I think it's important. I mean, bless their hearts for asking the question and having the courage to ask.
Yes.
Um, but I think what we need to do is trust that you have a trajectory in mind, and this is step one.
Yeah.
So just trust the teacher, do what she said for step one, never mind what the end result looks like. Just do it and then carry on and see where the next step takes you.
Yeah.
It's
And
it's
I also have a suggestion. If you feel like after you've done the exercise and you've honestly stopped at the right time and you've finished everything, and if you've got some extra time, one thing I like to do, because I time myself painting a lot, and the reason I do it is to keep myself from overworking things.
hmm,
So I will give myself, I've got this big canvas on the wall. I can only work on it 15 minutes. When the timer goes off, I have to stop because I know what happens if I keep going. So, but what I do is I might allow myself to come back that afternoon for another 15 minutes, again, timed, because where my danger zone is, and most people's danger zone is endless time. Endless
hmm,
time creates a dead painting. At the end of it all, we've perfected every little bit of it, and it's dead and it's boring. Whereas the life and energy that go when you let go of caring and you're just free, because that person said they got bogged down in the details. But if they hadn't got bogged down in the details, they would have had, they would have blocked out an interesting, quite lively painting of whatever it is that they're painting. And that's there to be worked on at any time in the future. But just be aware that the more time you spend on it, it's not always the better returns. At
hmm,
least divide those times into blocks and give you, if you are someone who tends to overwork like I do, and not everyone is, but that is my reason for time limits as well, is it's so easy for us to perfect to the
yeah.
point where what we've got is horrible.
So and so what I think the woman who went to the details early, what she did was she tried to rush to the end instead of allowing herself to
Mhm.
be at the beginning and stay at the beginning,
Yeah,
and because the details, they're the end thing, they're the last thing you do, is the details.
yeah,
You get all the big stuff done first. So that's, I think, what you were encouraging us to do, is just do the big stuff.
yeah. And it will have so much life and energy if you're truly not worrying. You'll feel the energy coming off it, as opposed to something that's, a bit stiff.
Yeah,
So
the thing, I watched Marie Louise's demo for that, and she's so good and she's so experienced, and I'm nowhere near that level of expertise that Marie Louise has. And so I had to say to myself at the very beginning of the exercise, this is not going to go as far as Marie Louise was able to take it
Yeah.
because
Yes.
she's a lot faster at it than I am. I'm
Yeah.
like this woman who wrote, I work slowly. I like working slowly. But means if you've got 15 minutes, it means you don't get as far. That's all. That's just the exercise.
And I have also, I had to tell myself because I did a different, I'm recording demo videos now for my longer course. And I did one the other day that was a realistic still life. I was telling Heather before we came on. And part of the exercise in that was a limitation of time. And I had to tell myself, yours is not going to look like Marie Louise's because you don't paint realistically very often. And so you can't expect to like come and do this and be, Van Gogh. That's just not going to happen. This is going to be rudimentary and basic because that's my skill level at doing this. And this is the other thing I want people to think about is can you be that honest with yourself? Can you be honest with yourself about where you are? And some people on this course are really experienced artists, but maybe they're trying something new, which means you are right back to being a beginner. You have an advantage, and maybe you know how to mix colors and you understand composition. So you definitely have a head start, but you're still learning something new. So you have to kind of have the humility to accept where you are and then be realistic. If this was something that was easy and anyone could do it, everyone would be making masterpieces. It's not easy.
And if I may say, the humility and the courage.
Hmm.
Because inside your head is a voice saying, if you don't produce a good painting, you're no good. And you have to have the courage to say to that voice, you're not telling me the truth, and I'm not going to listen to you.
Yes. Yes. You're not
You got to
telling me the
stand up
truth
for
because
yourself.
that is utterly ridiculous
Yeah,
because
stand up for
um,
yourself. Don't let those lies dictate your decisions.
I interviewed a very experienced artist a few years ago who has exhibited in top galleries around the US for 40 years, roughly. And he told me in the interview that every time he goes to make a new series of paintings, he can't remember how to paint and he feels certain he's not going to be able to make anything good. And B, we asked him how many things don't work out ever. And he said he destroys canvases that don't work out. He smashes them up. And he said about 30% of everything that I make never works out. And I just smash them up and I really enjoy it. I just stamp on them and then I cut the canvas into pieces. He thinks that canvases become like they have the devil in them and you just have to get rid of them. So I just thought that was so I don't know, it made me relieved to think, oh right, yes. Well, if he says that and he's a lot more experienced than me, it's not surprising that my ratio is more like 50% of what I do doesn't work. And when I was a beginner, it was more like 95% of what I did didn't work.
Mhm. Yeah.
So let us have a look because we're getting so many questions in. I am going to go back up and just see when I see a question, I'm going to pull it out and we can talk about it. Julie says, are the next exercises requiring the same amount of time approximately as assignment one? Gosh, I haven't sat down and studied that now to work it out again. I recorded these all about 2 months ago, Julie. I think tomorrow's might take you a bit longer, but I honestly couldn't tell you. You're never going to have something that I'm going to ask you to work all day on. It's always going to be something manageable. Oh, sorry. I've got this really annoying little flies that are like flying around my face in here. Um, Sandra, oh, Nini, sorry. Challenged by choosing what I like. I feel I need to stop thinking and follow my intuition, but then I just start going too fast. Any advice for getting more comfortable with this? Yes, that will happen, Nini. Totally. It happens to me too. I will just make a big old mess of something because I'm going with my intuition, but I've not stopped to like pause and listen to my intuition. So I'm just keeping going. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about thinking while you're painting. Decide when you stop what you like and what you didn't. So if you decide, wow, I don't like that because it's a big mess because I didn't slow down, maybe try to slow down a bit next time. Maybe set your timer for 5 minutes and then, stop and look and 5 minutes. Try different tricks, but the getting to know what you like, it takes a bit of time. Do you think, Heather?
Yes, definitely. I'm still not absolutely sure what I like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still playing around with colors, color choices, and um, yeah, it takes time. It's a journey. You look at some of the really famous artists, and their work went through a progression, and the ones are not the same as what they started with, which means that they changed their choices as they went along, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's everything's in flux. It's a process.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so if you decide that you like phthalo blue, and you're not necessarily going to like it a year from now.
Yeah. Yeah, and so what this is all about really is learning the skill of listening to yourself
Mm.
and then trusting that's what tomorrow's going to be about. Tomorrow's going to be about trusting when you do hear that voice. So we had somebody one year, I use this example a lot because it really stuck out for me. She said, I really want to use glitter, but that's childish, and I know, and it's very feminine, and the art world's a man's world. And this was a beginner, by the way, so who cares? But she said, I think it's wrong, so I've never used it. And shortly after, and of course, we said use glitter if that's what you want to use. But shortly after that, I went to the Tate Modern in London for an exhibition, and there was a male artist. I can't remember his name now, but as you walk in, it's a giant cavernous space that you walk into. And there were these massive sheets of glittery fabric that were draped down, which was his artwork. And they were draped in all sorts of different ways, and some of them were torn, but it was all glitter. And I was just thinking of her, like
Yeah.
limiting herself to not using glitter. He didn't care. He used glitter if he wanted to. So tomorrow's going to be about, it's first about hearing the voice, and then it's about learning to trust the voice. So when it says to you, let's say I told you I'd never do this, but if I told you to use ultramarine blue, cadmium red, and Hansa yellow, and you think to yourself, I hate ultramarine blue, listen to the voice and go get another blue and trust yourself, not what you're being told. Um, so Sandra says, when you set a painting aside after a time limit, would you switch to a different painting or stop painting for a bit? I do both, Sandra. Depends. I often don't have much time for painting, just like a lot of people here. The teaching and the business that I run and the team that I manage, all of that takes a lot of time. And I don't get like luxurious long days in the studio usually. So I might just leave it, go away, do some work, come back, or I might, if I have a bit more time, move to another one. I do still, by the way, fall into the trap of not doing it. I don't mean to make myself sound perfect. I spent ages on a painting the other night, and I just basically turned it into a grey mess. It was literally grey all over when I left. Up close, it looked okay. Further away, I went, oh, what have I done? Um, so I don't always take my own advice, but I do my best. Just looking down, question. Linda says, I normally paint in oils. When I did the realistic exercise, I was drawing the object as I wasn't sure how to apply the paint. Any advice? So you just, again, Linda, what's behind that? It's what Heather said. What's behind that question, Heather? Linda's saying, I was drawing it as I wasn't sure how to apply the paint.
And that says that there's a right way and a wrong way to apply the paint. And if I do it the wrong way, then I've made a mistake and I've done something wrong, and that's a sin.
Yeah. And I've messed up the whole
Whereas,
thing and I won't get a
whereas,
good painting.
whereas if you just dive in and try it, you'll find the way you like to apply the paint, regardless of what anybody else says. You have to
Yeah.
find your own way. You have to get in there and do it and find out. Nobody's
Yeah.
going to tell you this is the way you do it.
And this is what I mean about having to be willing to make a mess. I
Yeah.
can remember moving from watercolor to acrylics because I started painting in watercolors, which I wasn't particularly good at. So I thought maybe acrylics will be better. And that's a big shift, just like oils to acrylics. And I couldn't get the hang of acrylics at first. And I remember saying to a friend, this is pathetic. I'm not used. These are useless. I can't use these paints. But that's just being frustrated. Over time, you start learning what you can do with them. And just like you do with oils, you'll be able to learn what you can do with acrylics if you want to use them. And you'll start to become just as accomplished with them and be able to make them look like oils if you want to. Honestly,
Mm.
I get asked all the time, is that an oil painting or acrylic painting? And they're always acrylic paintings. But yes, again, you can't learn without doing the thing.
Yeah.
And what's behind that question, as Heather said, is, well, I've only got 15 minutes and I don't want to make a mess in 15
Yeah.
minutes. Whereas you've got to make a mess. Do a lot of 15-minute ones. Keep practicing them and see what you get. That person answered their own question. Where do we find the demos? I didn't see Marie Louise's. And Andrea, on the page where you get your lesson. So you get a lesson video, you get an assignment video, you get a demo from me, and you get a demo from a coach. Because we wanted to make sure you got abstract and representational so that everyone is covered. So Marie Louise's was at the bottom of the page. So you maybe just had to scroll
You
down
maybe
a bit.
didn't scroll down enough. Yeah.
Yeah, so you will always have, it's quite a long page, and we did try and make it easy to follow, but it is easy to not notice how much is on there. Rebecca says, I discovered that I don't really know how to relax and just play. So it was very uncomfortable. This is right where I need to be. Rebecca, that is such a good observation. And I just want to say to you that so many people don't know how to relax and play. So many people. I'm actually being deafened by rain at the moment, so I'm trying to hear myself think. It's so
I can't
loud
hear it
here.
at all, Louise. I can't hear it.
So loud. Um, so what I would ask you to do, Rebecca, and this is what we do in the main course, we get really into all this stuff, but we don't have time in this shorter course. But you could do this. Start thinking about, where is that coming from? Where did you get the idea that it was wrong to play? Because I guarantee when you were a baby, you liked playing. You were born wanting to play, and then something happened. A friend of mine calls it writing on your wall. She says we all are born with a blank wall, and then over time, people start writing on our wall. Teachers, parents, friends, everybody starts writing on our wall. And who wrote on your wall about being serious, working hard, not playing? Because someone did. And once you understand, you can ask yourself, is that my belief or is it their belief? Because maybe I want to drop that belief. And it's not as easy as that. It takes a bit of practice, but you can change these things.
And I say a couple of things about that, Louise.
Yeah.
Uh, one is that the process of learning is going from comfort to discomfort, from knowing
Yes.
to not knowing. And the not knowing, that step is uncomfortable. So I've found that I need to go into that step accepting that I'm going to feel uncomfortable at first.
Yes.
And the other thing, it reminded me that when I was in school, grade 9, I think it was, I had a math teacher that said, if it's worth doing at all, it's worth doing well. And I remember nodding sagely at that, thinking, yes, that's absolutely right. And
My
now,
dad used to say that.
rubbish.
Yeah.
You don't have to do everything well. You don't
Yeah.
have to excel at everything.
Yeah.
That's what I was taught. You have to be good at everything you touch. That's nonsense.
Yeah.
I
My dad used to say that when he was talking about DIY projects and electrical things that he did around the house. So it applied in his case. Yes, if it's worth doing the electrics, it's worth doing them well so everyone doesn't die. But
well,
it doesn't extend to every aspect of life.
no.
But you, as kids, we just absorb that, don't we? I
Yeah.
have a question here for you, Heather, because you are uniquely positioned to answer this one. Kaylee says, how do you move past a block to get yourself going? I'm frozen with grief.
Ah, well, I'm familiar with that because in my first FYJ, Find Your Joy course in 2021, my husband died 5 days before the course started. And I didn't know how I was going to carry on. And but I did it, and I found that a number of things. I found that being creative was a way to keep myself out of the pit of grief. Because if you fall into it without anything to pull you out, you stay down there. And it's a terrible place to be. So I found by allowing myself to be creative, it gave me, first of all, a distraction from thinking about how terrible this was that this had happened. And it gave me something more positive to focus on and something to be appreciative of. And I can tell you that thankfulness and appreciation is the best mood raiser I've ever found in my life. Even just look around your home and start thinking, what things do you appreciate? I appreciate my cat. I appreciate that I've got hot running water. I
Hmm.
appreciate that the heat comes on in the winter, and that makes you feel better. The second thing about Find Your Joy, and I think she will find that with this community too, and just in the free course, is that people are so supportive and so encouraging. Over and over, I've mentioned how helpful Cheryl and Sarah, the coaches Cheryl and Sarah, were for me in that first year. And they just lifted me up, and they were always there, supportive and encouraging. And it made such a difference in that first year.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get it about grief. And the thing about being a human is that grief is part of life. And there's no way to get beyond the grief without going through it. There's no way to go around it or get under it or over it. You just have to go through it and endure it and get to the other side. But if you've got things that will keep you being positive and creative, constructive things, it will help you get through that. It's like a hand reaching into the fog for you and pulling you through and helping you get through to the other side of it. And believe me, the other side is there.
Yeah.
There.
And actually, I've learned I lost someone, but not to death. But I lost someone to dementia. And for me, the I find the create being creative, it doesn't make the grief go away or the troubles go away, but it you can transmute the emotion on any given day by painting, or I can anyway. I can, if I'm creative and just express myself, not trying to be good, not trying to make a painting, just put some paint down and get my feelings out of my head and into my body and then out through my hands, I find myself feeling better by the end of the painting session. Of course, the grief comes back another time and you do it again, but I find my creativity to be like my best friend in difficult times. I always say it's like the best friend that never lets you down, the one that's never busy on a call somewhere or, you know, too involved with their own life to have time for you. It's always there. So, but I know that's easy to say and harder to do if you feel frozen. But maybe there are some little steps you can take, just some small things you can do
I
that
did a
don't
lot
feel
of paint-
pressured.
I did a lot of paintings of the most positive subjects I could think of,
Hmm.
which is different than just getting out your anger and your grief on
Hmm.
it. That's valuable too. But
Yep.
my way of doing it was to, I mean, I don't know if you remember, I painted all kinds of happy photographs of my husband and me and family and babies
Yeah.
and fantasy things, just because I needed to remember that there was something positive to focus on.
It's so good that you say that. I did a call with my membership group last night, and Tracy, we had the same conversation, and I talked about my way of dealing with it. And Tracy said, oh, I like to turn everything sad into something positive. So I make joyful pictures.
Yeah,
And
that's my way of
so,
doing
it's interesting that such different approaches, all valid, all, but maybe there's something in there for you that you can think about, Kaylee, and see whether it might help. AH asked, for the exercise, we started with minimal colors, but it looked like in the demo, Marie Louise had already prepped a palette of colors that related to her still life. So that's probably Marie Louise probably did what I did when I did this demo I mentioned to you, which is for another course. But I was painting a mint green old teapot and some oranges, and I was only allowed three colors and black and white. So when I'm thinking of my three colors, because I'm experienced at color mixing, I'm thinking, right, I know I'll need a cool blue, otherwise I'm not going to get the mint green. And I know I'll need my red to be magenta if I want a good orange. So out of those three colors and the black and white, I can make the range of colors that I need. So I wasn't there when Marie Louise filled her demo, but I'm sure that's what she did too. But when you're newer, that wouldn't be possible. You've got to practice color mixing and really work on that to be able to do that.
I can add a little cheat here too, because yellow mixed with black will give you an olive green. So then they've got a fourth color.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Way to
It
cheat.
does. It makes a lovely
A
green. I'm
wonderful olive green,
yeah.
mossy, fabulous, depending on your yellow. But that's a way to cheat and give yourself an extra color. I do.
Um, Jane says, I thought the limiting time was to go into it without care, not to slow down. Yes, Jane, that's what we're saying. Sorry if that wasn't clear. Yeah, we're saying you need to go into it without care.
Mhm.
Um, Jan says, I'm not sure. This is a good question, Jan, because I've seen this come up. Thank you. She says, I'm not sure if we're supposed to do the abstract and the realistic exercises. And sorry if that's not clear. You can choose. You can do both if you want to.
Good
But
time.
when I first used to do this course, we just used to have abstract exercises. And then I felt like I was just missing a whole bunch of people who also want to paint unique personal artwork, but they want to paint realistic things. So I then brought in the realism assignments because I do like realism too. I'm just not very good at it because I don't do it very often. So I give you the option and you can choose which path you're taking through the course then. And then if you want to try both, of course, if you're not sure which you want, then part of this will be finding out which you like best.
Also, you can use whatever medium you want to. I'm aware that there are lots of people who paint in watercolor, and like me, when I first started, I thought, oh, I guess I better paint in acrylic because this is all about acrylic. No, it's not. The
Yeah.
concepts are valid for watercolor. So I'm doing the exercises in watercolor for this course because that feels like that it's supportive for people who want to paint in watercolor. Sure, you can paint all these exercises in watercolor. Layering in watercolor is trickier than with acrylic, but if you start with light colors, you can layer over top. Just make sure it's dry.
Yeah. And also, if you didn't start with light colors, saying you can't get what you want, if I suggest doing another layer on something, you could just, what I would do if I was doing watercolors in that case is I'd just make another one. I'd say, right, well, I'm going to take what I learned on that one and make another one
Right. Or you
to
can
do
lift
what
color
Louise is
off.
suggesting.
You
Yes.
can lift color off. Or you can use white gouache and then do a layer over that.
Yeah. Because we're not purists here and we let you
No,
use white. I used to put white
white
acrylic
gouache
paint
all
in
the
with
time.
mine.
Yep, use it all the time.
Um, I'm just looking through so I can see. Lovely to see all your comments. I am a fast reader, so I'm reading them as I scroll down. Jude says, Kaylee, rather than trying to get into a positive frame of mind, paint your grief, be angry, be sad, let that go into your painting. So that is the approach that I have
Mhm.
as
And
well.
if that
Ra-
works for you, do that.
Rachel says, I was surprised at how hard I found it to let go today. Even though I knew the exercise was not about outcomes, I couldn't just enjoy playing. It takes a little bit of time, Rachel, because what has to switch in your mind, you have to genuinely believe what I'm saying is true. You have to experience that you make better art when you stop trying. Once you have that experience, because I'm not telling you to make bad paintings. I don't want that, long term. I want you to make great paintings that you love. But I know the way to get there is to stop trying to be good. It's just all, it's the same in any walk of life. The more desperate we are to have something or to be something, the harder it is to attain it. Can you remember when you were young and there was always someone in your friend circle who was desperate to get married, desperate to get married. And every time they got a boyfriend, they were like thinking, this is it, babies, I'm going to get married. And the boys would run a mile because, oh my God, we've only been on 2 dates. I had a friend like that. And when that person who's like that just gives up and says, oh, I'm never going to meet someone, then they give off a different energy than they meet someone. It's kind of the same thing. We can try too hard and paint our creativity knows that we're not being creative, we're being pushy. And
And I was just thinking about teenagers, especially teenage boys. They never really look all that good.
no, no, what
They
were we
they're,
thinking?
they're they're gangly and their mouth
Yeah.
is too big and their feet are too big for their head and they're not finished yet.
No,
You know,
and also, I mean, my teenage neighbor, he's a very handsome young man, he really is. But he's a child and he's so completely useless as a boyfriend. And I think, God, when I was 18, that was the kind of person that I was mad about. What was I thinking? Anyway,
well,
we're
and
on a digression.
I look back at photos of myself as a teenager and I think, oh, but that's what teenage looks like. And so what
Yeah.
we need to do is become comfortable with the teenage stage of our paintings. They're not
Yes.
finished yet. Let them be
Yes.
teenagers.
Let's let ourselves be wherever we are on our journey without trying to be something we're not. So
Mhm.
when I did that still life, if I was trying to impress the people who were going to watch the video with how good I am at still lifes, it would have been a very stressful experience as it wasn't going all that well and the teapot handle was in the wrong place and oh no, look. But because I'm not trying to impress anyone and I'm telling quite openly I'm not very good at this, I haven't done it for a long time, then there's no stress to it because I'm not, there's nothing attached to it. We have a good question from Judy. How can I do a still life with just a few brushstrokes instead of spending all my time redoing each brushstroke? Well, now, Judy, I bet you can answer that for yourself because you just have to stop redoing every brushstroke.
Let it be there. Leave it alone.
Can you do a painting, Judy, where you do not allow yourself to smooth out, blend, erase, go over? You can go over something when it's dry, you can make a mark and then you can make another mark on top, but can you put a mark down and just leave it and just see how painful that is? Maybe you'll have to walk out of the room and come back. But it would be really interesting to see if you can do that. Whenever any of you, that's a great question though for anybody. So, whatever it is that you're asking yourself, how can I? The answer is you just get started and try and do it. And the reason you're not just trying to do it is you're frightened that it won't look good,
Mhm, mhm.
right?
Product again. Product.
Yeah, you focused on product. So, once you forget that, you can say, oh, I'm free to try it now then and see what happens. And chances are the first time you try it, it won't look good because unless you're some kind of weird genius, you're going to need to practice and learn how things work. And somebody here might be a genius, but most of us are not. Joanna, how to start making bolder marks? I always end up making small repetitive marks. Same thing. Right.
You know, you know what I would suggest for that?
Mm,
It's about small repetitive marks is use a bigger tool. When I want to keep myself from getting tight, I get the biggest brush I can get that's practical to use. And I use a large brush because I can't get small and fussy with it.
yeah.
And so that might be a way to deal with it is use a larger tool.
Yes. And don't allow, because she says even with the larger tool, she makes small marks. Right. Well, if you catch yourself making a small mark, get the large tool, make one big mark and walk away.
Yeah.
You have to let it be.
And use a larger muscle. Let the large muscle do it instead of the small muscle. So if you want to make a mark, make your arm make it instead of your hand.
Yeah.
Let the larger muscle do it, or the larger bone or whatever, instead of the small one. And I think you'll be able to make a larger mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ca Caroline says, when we find what we liked about our paintings versus what we didn't do we dive deeper into both or let go of what brought dissatisfaction? Let go of what you didn't like. Always. So this journey that we're on as artists is a constant picking up and letting go of. Yeah, I enjoyed that. No, I didn't like that. But as Heather said, you might come back to that thing a year from now and like it. But for now, if you didn't enjoy it, you don't have to. This art is the one place where you never ever have to do what you don't want to do, ever. You don't have to please anyone else. You don't have to answer to anyone else. You don't have to think about anyone else. You can just do whatever you want. So why would you not choose only the good things?
Mhm.
Um, Alice or Elaine, I'm not sure which is your first name, but you said it's like writing. I sometimes run creative writing workshops and I tell people to turn off the critical editor part of their brains when they are writing a first draft to avoid writer's block. Yes, yes. The time for thinking is when we step back and look at the painting after a while and say, right, what am I feeling about this? And we'll get into some of that, although when we do the full course, we get into that in a lot of detail, like composition and color and all those things. Obviously, I can't cover all that here. I'm trying to cover as much as I can. But the thinking part is comes, I say never paint and think, which is the same thing as you're saying. Um, let's have a
Sometimes
look.
the critic is going in my head and finding all the things that are wrong with what I'm doing. And my answer to that is only you would see that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Forget it.
because you bring up a good point, Heather, because we all have that critic
Yeah.
all the time. What are you doing? This is rubbish.
Yeah.
You shouldn't even be doing this. Like I've just got a really big studio for the first time in my life, and I the first day that I was painting in here made a bit of a mess of what I was doing, and I just was that voice was in my head saying, "You don't even deserve a studio this big. There are artists way better than you with smaller studios than this. What are you doing with such a big space?" But with Heather and I, we've learned to let that voice just go. Like you, what did you
The
say? You
time.
say, Heather?
Pardon?
What did you say? You say to it?
Uh, Only you would see that. Nobody
Yeah,
else would see that. Only you, because
I
you're
like
looking for
that.
everything that's wrong.
Yeah.
So just go sit down in the corner. I'm not going to pay attention. Most of the time, I can do that. Not all the time, but most of the time.
Kerry asks, are we going to go back to what we already made yesterday and finish them beyond the teenager stage in this series? No, we are going to keep
Yeah, you
moving
might.
forward, but you can.
So,
If you want to, but why do you want to, Kerry? What is pushing you to say there's no point in what I did unless I get to finish it? But we can't stop you finishing it, and you can work on that whenever you want. But we are moving on to something completely different because the whole point was that you weren't finishing something.
but Louise, I might say, these three little elephant pictures I did, one of them in particular has some potential. So I might, after the course is all over, I may pull that out again and say, let's see where I can take this. Because I
Yeah.
like the process, because I
Yes.
like doing it, not
Yeah.
because I have to make a good painting out of it, but
Yeah.
because I like the process and I want to see if I can take it further.
And it would be great if you all leave here with, 100 starts for things you want to work on more. That would be fabulous if you feel curious. Beth, I'm not sure I understand this, but I'll read it to you, Heather. How to know the difference between identifying my preference versus filtering?
Filtering.
Me?
Um,
Mm.
isn't filtering in a way the same thing? Because if you're identifying that I like this yellow more than that yellow, then you're putting things through the filter of your preference. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, I thought they were the same thing. So maybe we're not understanding Beth. So maybe if you put it in, I'll see if I can find it again. If you give us more what you mean, Priscilla. Oh, I love this one because it's really we always get some. And I'm not picking on you, Priscilla. It's already moved, but I think I remember it. It was like jumping ahead to because I've lost it. But Priscilla said something like, "I enjoyed the exercise, but if I could only learn one skill, what would the most important skill be? Because I'm a beginner." So I just want to say the most important skill is to learn choosing what you like and what you don't like. That's why I've made the whole workshop around it. But you maybe are feeling like there's some technical skill I could give you which would move you forward really
Mhm.
quickly. And there isn't. You need all the skills. You need to learn composition and color mixing. And if you're realistic painter, you need to learn drawing and but all of that can be fun. It's not horrible. It's amazing fun, but that's what you need to learn. But the first thing before you learn any of that is you need to learn to trust your own preferences.
And
Do
could
you have
I just
anything?
interject
Yeah,
here
of course.
that I don't know what it is about the human mind that makes it think that art is supposed to be something you can just do. And
Yeah.
all the other skills, you have to spend years and years and years. I mean, I'm a professional pianist or was, and I studied, I took lessons for decades, you
Hmm.
know, before I was really good. And I got to be pretty good. But
Hmm.
it took years and years to get there. Why should art be any different?
Yeah. And that's why I call my course Find Your Joy, because if you don't love it and you're not having fun, you won't want to keep doing the work that's necessary to get good. So you have to
That's
make it
right.
fun.
It has to be fun.
Yeah. Otherwise, unless somebody I mean, when you're a kid, maybe learning piano, maybe parents make you learn it or whatever, but at some point you have to want to keep learning it.
Yeah. I mean, but also in that vein, Louise, there's always going to be something that's tedious and boring. I mean, practicing scales is tedious and boring. I've never met a human being yet that enjoyed practicing scales. But you can't express what your hands won't do, so you have to do the tedious bit.
Yeah.
So if you don't like color mixing exercises, you need to do them anyway, because that's a skill you have to learn.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to enjoy, but then the scales and the technique is just a means to getting to the expression.
Yeah.
So there's just some things you have to just accept that this is the way it is, and you carry on because the doing of it when your hands will do it for you is the fun. Did that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And to go back to just to that question, which it's almost behind that question is, oh yeah, but I was hoping to learn some techniques and some skills. And I want to make it really clear that I don't avoid teaching those because of any reason other than most art classes teach art the wrong way around, in my opinion. They wouldn't agree with me, but this is my class and I can say what I want. I think that if you go into an art course and you learn composition and color mixing and all of that right at the beginning and color theory, it freezes you up. You can't do anything. It's too much knowledge with no love of doing the thing and nothing about yourself behind it. So I believe in teaching, beginning with what we're doing, gaining confidence in your own choices, having fun, learning to move paint around, just playing to see what things do, seeing if you like the brushes or palette knives or cloths and what does it feel like when you put that color with that color. And then after a little bit of that, then we can get into right now. Here's how you take the playthings you've done and you start shaping them and you can start making decisions. Doing it that way around, you've got a foundation to work on. Doing it the other way around, I just see too many people who come out of those courses frozen and not able to do anything. We have a question from Damon. Can you please tell us about your upcoming course? No, but the reason why, Damon, the reason why I know I mention it, and that's not, I'm sorry about that. The we are going to tell you all about it at the end of this. But if I start talking about it now, we have some people who won't want to come on the full course and they'll switch off from what we're doing because this will feel like a sales pitch. And we have some people who want to do the full course, so they'll switch off because, well, I'm going to do the full course, so I don't need to do this. And this is really important in and of itself. And what we do here, we're not repeating in the full course. So you need this as a foundation anyway. But also, if you're just going on to paint on your own, I want you to get a proper experience of a free course without any discussion of anything else. So I think it's September 5th. Whatever the last day of the course is, we will send out an email with information and then I'll be around to answer questions and all of that. But for now, I really want everyone to just focus on this because we've put a lot of effort into this and I think it's really good.
Yes.
If I missed your question, I'm really sorry. I'm scrolling back, but whenever someone comments, it kind of shoots the comments back down. And some of them don't say question at the beginning. So I'm trying to. Picasso said, be like children. Yes, exactly. Picasso said something, I'm going to butcher this, but that it took him a while to learn to paint like a professional, but then the rest of his life to learn to paint like a child or something,
It's something like that. Yeah.
to forget everything that he had learned. And that's why being a beginner and doing a course like this is so amazing because you haven't got anything to unlearn. You just come in at it completely free.
Yeah. Be glad of that.
Lucinda says, I think the most important thing we need to learn is patience and kindness towards our painting and ourselves. And
And
that's what
ourselves.
tomorrow's about.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. I've never shared this exercise before that we're doing tomorrow or anything like it. And I just think it's it's really unique on an art course. And it's about being kind to yourself and also starting to learn when starting to notice what you are saying to yourself because a lot of what is in our head we're not even aware of. It's just background noise that we accept as the truth. Do you think, Lorraine says, do you think social media adds pressure to results as people compare their work to that of others and that people want more to show what they did compared to seeing what they did? So social media, I think, can add pressure if you let it. And I do think people compare themselves to other people, but you don't have to. I always find it so funny that at some point on this course, someone will say, oh, yours on the demo worked out so much better than mine. And it's like, well, if I wasn't at least a reasonable painter, would you want to take a course with me? If I wasn't further along than you, would you want me to be here teaching you, or would you want someone else? So we compare us. Like if I go on there and I compare myself to someone who's been painting professionally for 40 years, I'm going to feel very beaten down when I look at their work because I'm not as good as them. If I go look for someone who's only just started, I could pat myself on the back. Well, I'm better than them. Again, what's the point? So I do think it can, but we have to learn that it's not social media doing that. It's us doing that. Social media is just there. It's not doing anything. I see it as inspiring. I don't know about you, Heather. How do you
Oh
find?
yeah, no. Well, I experience both with social media. I experience the inspiring and thinking, "Ooh, I'd like to try that," but also the compare means despair. It's one thing to look at somebody else's painting and say, "Gee, that's great. I'll take some ideas from that," but it's another thing to look at it and say, "I'm not as good as that," and that so compare means despair. So
Yeah,
mustn't do
yeah,
that.
yes. Shane, I am wondering if you got today's email because you said, is there an actual practice to color mixing? I've seen very few that show a book of, I've seen a very few that show a book of their mixed notes, but I've no idea what they've done to get there. So this morning's video showed you what I do to practice color mixing. I literally get a limited palette of colors and then I just start mixing them together and see what happens. And I make little squares of each color that comes out of it. And at the end of that process, I make a note on the little book that I've made of what colors I used to get there. So I don't make a note on every little square because that would take forever. And if I know which red, which yellow, which blue I was using, I can pretty much figure it out. It might take me a while, but I can get back to the colors. And then after I've exhausted the three colors that I picked, I swap one of them out. So I might choose a different blue and start all over again and make another one. And I do that all the time and I still do it all the time. I just like doing it. It's amazing fun just to see what you can make out. And it's really fun when you use something like a fluorescent color that looks horrible and then you find out you can make the most gorgeous colors when you mix it with something else.
I used a fluorescent pink, which I'm terrified to use in anything, but I mixed it with a yellow and it made the most glowing orange. It was
Yeah.
wonderful. And I can't
Yeah. Yeah.
wait to use it somewhere else. But I bought this thing. I don't know why I bought it, but there it was sitting in my supplies and I finally used it and I love it because I mixed it.
Yeah. So when you see those artists showing those books, Shane, they're just playing. They're not doing any like rules and sitting down and working. They've just got their own way of messing about with paint. Everybody's got a slightly different way, but the way I showed you that in this morning's video, and if you didn't see it, it's on the catch up page, which you can get. If you don't have that, you can email us fyjteam@gmail.com. But please, before you email us, try searching your emails to see if you can find the
And
emails because we are getting a lot to respond to.
look in your junk mail too, because it might have gone there.
And if you have a Gmail account, along the top of your inbox, there are three tabs: inbox, promotions, social. Click on promotions and you might find us in there, or just search for my name. Charlotte says, I'm 69 and I don't want to take years and years to find my voice and be happy with what I produce. Well, that's up to you,
Started
Charlotte.
finding my voice at 74, so there you go.
You don't have to do this, right, Charlotte? You could do something else, but there isn't a magic wand and there isn't a teacher who's going to say, you don't have to mix colors and find your preferences and do these things because here's the secret. No one's going to do that. And Charlotte, it's the best thing to do with your years. What I'm
Yeah.
62. I'm only a little bit behind you, and I can't think of anything better to do with the rest of the time I've got on this earth than the joy of what I get when I'm painting. But if it's not for you, maybe it's something else that's for you.
But that's the fun of it, you see. Even if you're just beginning to find your voice by learning what you prefer, then you've got the rest of your life to spend doing this.
Yeah.
What's is there a goal post you have to get through before it's like what else do you want to do with your life but be creative and have fun?
And the thing is, as well, that here's the even worse news, Charlotte. You never get there. Like
Yeah, you never
you get there, but then you have another idea. So I was working a certain way for a long time doing abstract landscapes, and now I don't want to do that anymore. And I'm because that happens to us as artists. We find we're changing and now want to do something else, but I don't exactly know what. So now I'm on another beginner journey, working out what my our voice is just our ability to express ourselves clearly, but we go through lots of different styles and they keep changing. So now I'm in the process of like, what will the next thing be? And I'm practicing again and making a mess and trying things and it's not working. And then it does work. And when a little thing works, it's so joyful. It's like, oh, I got it. I got that thing. That's one bit. But I hope that when I get to whenever I'm going to die, that I will be halfway through a painting that I'm loving. And I hope I'll have some more that I want to do. I hope I won't be sitting there saying, oh, well, I found my voice. Now what am I going to do? I found it. I make perfect paintings. Try this because somebody said this to me. Try imagining that I can wave a magic wand and you can make brilliant artworks and you can make one a day. Every day you go in, to your space, you make another brilliant artwork, and just as you're finishing, someone knocks on the door and hands you £1,000 to buy it or whatever you want, £5,000. And they say, "Thank you very much. This is the best artwork I've ever seen." And they leave. And then you do it again the next day. Imagine how long it would be before that was boring. I mean, the money might be nice, but oh, where's the satisfaction of solving a problem, of having a challenge, of working something out if you can just do it?
It's like
So,
it's saying you're going to go on a trip and you start day one and then you immediately go to the end day and there you've done your trip, but you haven't had the process in the process.
yeah, yeah, you haven't
You know,
had the
I
journey.
yeah, enjoy the journey.
Say the word says, "My issue is I'm too fast. 30 minutes is way too long. How do I slow down?" I end up using the extra time and usually end up overworking. So, for one, you could not slow down and just stop yourself sooner. So, if I say 30 minutes, you could try 15. Or you could try to slow down and see how it feels and just see what happens, I think. But remember, I'm giving you the assignments that I've set, but you can adapt them and say, "Well, I know she said to do that, but it just didn't work for me. I'm going to try and make it shorter, or I'm going to do something different." We have a few minutes. We're a bit over, but I'll just go for another few minutes. Debbie's asking the best smooth paper. So, what do you use for paper, Heather? You use
Actually,
watercolor paper because you paint with
I do.
watercolors, yeah.
My preference is 300-pound Arches cold press, but that's not smooth.
Right.
I tried to get Arches 300-pound hot press and I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
So I bought some other hot press, but it wasn't 300-pound. It was only 140-pound, and I didn't like it as much.
But hot press is smoother, isn't it, than
Hot
cold
press is
press?
smooth. Yeah, hot press is
Yeah.
smoother.
And that's watercolor paper. Or you could get something like a mixed media paper. Arches
Smoother.
oil paper is quite expensive, but Arches oil paper is smooth. Any kind of like Canson or Strathmore mixed media. Fabriano, I think it's Artistica, is quite good too. Watercolor paper, you tend to be able to get really heavy duty, so it can take a lot of stick, which is good. But so can Archer's oil paper, and even though it's called oil paper, it's fine for acrylics without any priming.
Ah, good to know.
Yeah, I somebody told me it was, and I didn't believe them, but they kept saying no, it is really, and I tried it, and it is.
Arches oil paper.
Yeah, it's not for watercolors; it's for acrylics or oils.
Gonna look that up.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. Oh, somebody asked, Cheryl's answered, and I'd lost the question. Gap Design asked about sealing in oil pastel on a painting. If you want to seal it in, which is nothing to do with what we're doing, but I'll very quickly say you will have to use a few coats of acrylic medium, in my experience. Oil pastel doesn't dry, it always stays sticky. And I just use enough coats of acrylic medium that I can no longer feel that tackiness, and then I know it's done. I use black and yeah. Question: what about cheap canvas from the dollar store? That is fine if you want to use cheap canvas for this course. I
Sure.
like paper because when I give you like make a small painting or do several small things, which we'll be doing tomorrow, you can cut a sheet of paper up but if you're happy doing that with canvas, you can do that.
Sure. The dollar store has little canvases like that for $1, and you buy a whole bunch of them and pitch them out when they're finished, because you haven't really lost anything.
Durette says, how do you deal with interruptions? I presume you mean when you're painting. Not very well. I get really grumpy.
Ah, you can turn your phone off.
It's people interrupting me. So I get grumpy when people interrupt.
Well, I don't have any other people around, so I don't have that problem.
My friend John, who's a writer, says that his partner always comes in and says, I know you're working, but, and it's like, I was right in the middle of a plot and I've just got to the point where I was working. Because often when we're creative, also, we just sit in here, right, thinking about what to do next. Or I'll be painting and I'll be really in it, completely in my own world. And then someone just coughs or because I do have sometimes have people around. And so they'll just come in and it's like, oh, I was right in it. So I
You know what you could
try and set boundaries.
You could have like a little red card at the door.
Yeah.
And when somebody needs to talk to you, they can come in and they can just put that card on the edge of your table and walk away. And then when you're ready to see them,
That's
then
a
you
good
can come
idea.
and,
That's a good
and
idea.
you're ready to talk to them. And by
John
the
gave my
red
friend
card is
gave
their
me
way
a
of telling you they need to talk to you.
yeah, I think that's a good idea. My friend gave me one of those men at work signs, but it was really flimsy, so it kept blowing over in the wind. I was to put that outside and then people wouldn't come in. But I think it's about boundaries. And like I say, people don't always listen to me set my boundaries. But that is, to be fair, I'm having work done here, and these people are interrupting me to because they need me. So maybe, like Heather said, a system for when someone needs to speak to you. But if it's your spouse or a friend, tell them that this is my painting time and I need to be quiet, or put a sign on the window or something. Charming Geek says ear defenders, then you can't hear them. Good idea.
Oh, when I was practicing piano, my husband knew that he was not to interrupt me. And I started at a certain time and I went for an hour or an hour and a half, and that I was not to be interrupted, and he didn't. He
Yeah.
left me alone for that time.
I'm going to do one more question from Nancy because Nancy says, is there any exercise that you do to get you in a creative mood? I'm sharing like five of them, no, more like 10 of them with you. So the things I'm sharing with you in this workshop, they're things I do all the time to get me feeling creative, to warm up. And on the off days, like this morning where I shared the color mixing, again, these are things I do to when I'm not feeling like making paintings. So I'm sharing with you 10 and actually more like probably 14 things because I've got a few things for the days when we finished that I do. And I think I'm pretty much giving you my arsenal of things I do. There might be a few other things, but all of these things that we're talking about come from what I do in my own studio. Do you have anything other than that, Heather?
No, I just do what you taught me to do. But see, the thing is, I don't feel blocked sometimes. Um, I sometimes think what I want to paint, but what shall I paint? But then I'm always able to find something. Just
Mm-hmm.
do something, start something. And if that it doesn't seem to be the thing I want to do, then I'll stop it. But I don't really have that problem. So I'm not very good one to ask about it. I
Yeah.
always I paint all the time.
Yeah.
Keeps me on the street.
And this is what happens when you see the coaches I chose for, and you'll meet a different coach each time we do these calls. I chose them because they've integrated the ideas that I'm teaching into their practice and they just do them without thinking. Because they've found what makes them happy and they're not doing anything they don't love, it's never hard for them to get started. Because if I said to you, I could give you your favorite food or your favorite drink, you wouldn't say to me, I've been procrastinating about eating that. I just can't seem to bring myself to do it. You would say, oh, yum, thank you. Painting should feel like that. It shouldn't feel like doing your accounts or like something that you often we procrastinate because we don't know how to do something, right? And you, again, going back to what Heather said right at the beginning, product versus process. You don't know how to make the product, but you do know how to paint. You know how to pick up a brush, put it in some paint, and put that on a piece of paper. So
Enjoy
that is
the
all you
sensuous,
ever have to do.
yeah, enjoy the sensuous experience of putting paint on paper. You don't have to, you could do it blind, just do it. You
Yeah.
could put a blindfold on yourself and do it, and then take the blindfold off and say, there. That's it. But enjoy the experience of it. The
Yeah.
doing. The doing of it is more important than the product.
Because all we ever have, if we're going to get philosophical to close, all we ever have is the present moment. You might not even make it long enough to finish the painting. You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen in the next hour. So all you have is right now. If you're not enjoying what you're doing right now, then in some aspects of life, we have to do it anyway, right? We have to look after people. We have to do a job. We have to do lots of things we don't want to do. But in art making, you never have to do that. You can always just do what you want. So, thank you so much, everyone. The comments are amazing. I didn't read out all of the comments that weren't questions, but it's lovely to see them all. And I go back in because in YouTube, I can read them all after the event. So, I go back through and read the chat. Like while I'm having my dinner tonight, I'll have a look at what everyone said because it really helps me to think about what we're going to talk about on the next live session. So keep sharing with us, keep telling us what you're thinking, keep posting in the Facebook group. Oh, and I have to announce the person that was picked with my super secret random selection method. And that person that has won a free place on Find Your Joy coming up is Rebecca Bannister. So, Rebecca, if you're still here, that's fine. If you're not, we'll be sending you an email with all of the details about that so that you can get access when we start.
That from this
Um,
call or from the welcome call?
that's from this call. We
This call.
started today.
Oh, so
Yeah,
you did it
I did
surreptitiously.
it secretly. So, congratulations, Rebecca. Can't wait to see you in Find Your Joy. And thank you, everyone, so much for being here and making this so much fun for us. We're having such a brilliant time. And we'll see you again soon. I'll see you tomorrow morning for another lesson, another painting exercise, and then again for a call the next day. Bye.